Good evening, guys. Just going to take a few minutes here to finish getting everything set up and kind of go over a few of the details that popped up today. Not seeing anybody on in the chat right now, so that'll just give me the time to finish setting up what I wanted to go over here, which are essentially the new lies of today and who's been saying what. And point out some more of the bullshit and the traders that are essentially taking over things. Alrighty. I think we've got some volume. Sorry, my mic fell over and it's not working quite well. And of course, I can't hear any feedback. Alrighty. I think we've got some volume. There we go. Okay, so I wanted to go over a couple of the crazy things that we've seen here today. Hey guys, Shinobi One's in the chat, Island Hermit. Thanks for coming, guys. Wanted to share the new lies that are out and, the new blame game that they like to throw around here in our liberal media. And what I've got pulled up for you on the page here is one of the newest and craziest of tonight, which is from the CBC. We have our one of our health ministers or ministers of public safety that this reporter from CBC was on with. And I've watched this video a couple of times. If you've ever heard anything about body language, I want you to watch this woman very carefully. You don't even have to watch her carefully. You can definitely see how she's essentially trying to push her own lie. Oh, I've just got somebody popping in here. Oh. Mr. Howard Dare.
Mr. Howard Dare.
Hello, MGTOW. Hello, man. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for letting me stop by, Chris.
Hey, man. Happy
Hey,
to
man, happy to have you here.
I'm getting some feedback.
Though.
Really?
Yeah.
You're doubling back.
Let me check something out here. One second.
Yeah, no problem. Do you need to check?
Anything any better?
No, I
can still hear you.
Yeah, but am I still, echoing and feeding, feedback?
No, I'm feeding back
feeding back through yours.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating. My bad. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Well, let me double check to make sure I don't have two mics on
at the same time.
Exactly. That's what I'm kind of checking on too.
Yeah, no, I've only got the one. Hey, push comes to shove, I can unplug my main mic and start with the old one. Although it seems to be okay right now. So anyway, while Howard's getting his stuff set up, yeah. So, oh, sorry, you're back.
Sorry, you're back here.
Yeah, my mic is back, but I don't think I've found the cause of the problem.
I'm not sure why we're getting a
I'm not sure why we're getting a double feedback.
What about the people in the chat? Are they getting a double feedback? Because maybe it's just you. Sorry.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
Shinobi, are you getting feedback?
Feedback?
It could be on my end.
It could be on my end.
Sorry, just a second here.
Sorry, just a second here.
There's definitely an echo.
There's definitely an echo. Okay.
Well, Howard, can I get you to mute your mic and
until you're ready to speak? Until you're ready to speak.
Yeah, I'll do just that. I'll mute the mic and try a couple more things.
Okay, let's do a check here. Well, that seems to have done it. So, yeah, welcome to the show, Howard. I appreciate you being here, buddy, and I know it's not easy for you to get here on the way things are set up for you right now, but thanks for coming on. Okay, so I guess he's still setting that up. But anyway, I wanted to play this video for you real quick. I want you guys to check it out. Have a real good look at this lady and what the crazy shit she is saying. This is one that Pops and Terrence missed on their channel, which it's really unfortunate because those guys would have tore these people apart. I'm going to play this for you here.
The trained officials.
Did you guys catch that, or did I have it muted? Howard, are you there?
I think I'm here.
Well,
I'm not 100% sure if you're...
Oh. Oh, it was muted. Sorry, guys. Okay, well, I'll rerun this. It's just a short clip. But as I stated, just kind of get a lowdown of what these people are dropping and the insanity that this lady is trying to push.
I do ask that because, given Canada's support of Ukraine in this current crisis with Russia, I don't know if it's far-fetched to ask, but there is concern that Russian actors could be continuing to fuel things as this protest grows, but perhaps even instigating it from the outset.
Well, again, I'm going to defer to our partners in the public safety, the trained officials and experts in that area.
So is that not some of the craziest shit you've ever heard? I really wish Pop and Blake would have caught this on their stream because it was absolutely hilarious. They're essentially trying to implicate now, because they've run out of their excuses and the craziness has kind of hit the fan. They've run out of lies. They're now trying to just blame it on Russia. So everything leads back to Russia. So, insanity. Where will it go next? Well, we've heard even through Pop's stream that they were trying to freeze the GoFundMe for the truckers and use it for the cleanup that these people have caused with their trash and the damage. And you saw on... most of you came over from Pop's stream. You've seen the bags neatly packed up and everything cleaned up. So that lie isn't going to work. I had just received a message, but I hadn't confirmed it. That the media is now saying, oh, they did the cleanup for their sake, to kind of push, that lie aside. But it was already done long before that. Hey, Brother Riggs, welcome. Thanks for being here. Trini MGTOW. So yeah, if we do get Howard back here pretty quick, hopefully he's got it all sorted out. It seemed to sound fine on the end there, and I'm trying to balance the old laptop because I wanted to show you that video, and it doesn't work the best because I beat the shit out of it. But it is operational right now. And then, you know, I just wanted to say thanks to all the channels that were out there supporting, you know, and reporting on what's going on up here, because I did a Google search on essentially what was being reported on when it came to the US side of things. And I think I found 2 news articles. One was from CNN, which had very little detail in it. And the other one, I believe, was from Fox. Everybody that is reporting on the US side is either alternative media or YouTubers, but the mainstream aren't touching it. Here in Canada, they aren't touching it at all. You know, they're just still trying to push the narratives. And just like I suspected, we're now seeing politicians flipping sides, right? So here in Quebec, and I'll share this screen with you. Just a sec. As you can see, here in Quebec, their glorious leader, who was so adamant a few days ago about basically forcing this vaccine on everyone. And I don't know if the screen is sharing. That's weird. Oh, here we go. But yeah, essentially, he was very adamant a few days ago about forcing the vaccine on everyone, to the point where he was throwing in a anti-vax tax to essentially fine everyone that doesn't get taxed or doesn't get the vaccine. Well, he's flipped on that now. Now they've dropped that whole idea. So another traitor, another turncoat that's in, you know, Canadian politics. And to be honest with you, as I stated before, I don't see any of them that are worth keeping. And if we got rid of Trudeau, it'll just be another face doing the exact same kind of propaganda bullshit. In Saskatchewan, same kind of deal. This traitor here, who is essentially a turncoat as well, he pushed the mandates. He closed down businesses. He forced people inside, and now he's flipped because the narrative isn't winning. It isn't working anymore, and he doesn't want to get hung out to dry with Justin Trudeau and the others. But it's definitely something we shouldn't all forget. Not for a second. If anything, they should be held more accountable, and nobody should drop the narrative on these people. So I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, we've all seen people turn coat and, you know, the rats run from the sinking ship, but these guys are turning on a dime here right now to essentially not go down with Justin. Oh, there we go. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me. Is my audio coming through okay now?
Yeah, everything sounds fine right now, buddy.
Good deal.
It's just a
Good
double.
deal. I figured it out. This, you know, handheld device I'm using was using the microphone on both the earbuds and on the little phone here.
Oh, no worries, no worries. That's okay. I'm still trying to figure all this crap out too. And like I said, I busted up my machine pretty good. So if I move anything right now, I may lose audio.
Okay, so, but I'm not echoing right now, right?
Nope,
no echoes.
Nope, no feedbacks, no echoes. So I was just going over how our politicians are starting to run from the sinking ship here. That's Justin Trudeau. And Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow,
They're all.
who could have foreseen any of this coming, right?
Oh, I think I said something about it the other day.
Yeah, I guess sarcasm doesn't work very well, over
No,
YouTube, but I'm being sarcastic here.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So right now we've. Oh, you're moving around a lot there, Butts. Oh,
Yep.
that's all good.
Yep, I am.
So I don't know if you know many of our politicians here, but the Quebec premier, who was one of the more adamant pro-vaxxers, who was going as far as to put a tax on people who didn't get the vaccine. And this was just a few days ago. He was talking how strict he was going to be on it. He's flipped. So now he doesn't want to tackle anybody. The premier of Saskatchewan, who also was one of those super vaxxers, he's flipped. He's now removing all mandates, try to save face. And the further you go east, obviously, as we stated here a few times, that the more liberal you get. That's why, like, the voting polls were closed here and the election, were just opening and the election was over, because they had all their votes from the East Coast. That's all they needed. Because it's turbo liberal. Oh, yeah, East Coast turbo liberal. Turbo. And in Nova Scotia, the premier has passed a law making groups that are essentially on the side of the road supporting the convoys are now susceptible to a $10,000 fine.
Supporting the convoys. Listen, I just am not connected to media the way I need to be. You know what I mean? I've got a little handheld device that I can, step out onto a street corner and connect through Wi-Fi once in a while. What is this trucker situation going on? What is this convoy? And how is it related to the whole, COVID vaccination situation?
Well, essentially what they wanted was for all of the truckers to have a mandate instead of, being outside of the normal laws for the COVID vaccine. They wanted them all vaccinated no matter what.
Right. Understood.
And that was supposed to be implied on the 1st of January. Now,
January. Okay.
Yeah. So in January, that was when the deadline was. Everybody had to take the shot or not, or lose your job. And we do a lot of international. Between Canada and the US, that's where most of our truckers actually go. Even you guys,
sure, of course.
Right?
Yeah,
there's a lot of transport
absolutely.
that happens there.
Back and
so
forth.
They wanted to, they wanted to force it on them, and they essentially said, "Fuck no." So they started a group over here in British Columbia, and they were driving down all the way to Ottawa, and they were going to park outside of the Capitol building, and nobody was going anywhere. This started off as I think it was 1,400 truckers that had actually signed up for this. By the time they got to Ottawa, it was 28,000.
Excellent.
Right? Right now, our capital city is surrounded for blocks. Blocks are just completely cut off with truckers, other supporters that have, gone there on foot. And our media is essentially trying to blanket this out, right? So,
this is wonderful.
Oh, it is. And it really goes to show, the more they try to essentially cover up what's going on, the more everything else that they have pushed for narratives like BLM and fucking the pro-feminist thing and the everything else, essentially, the pride parades, where people like Justin Trudeau were all there to support him. They allowed him to do whatever they want throughout these lockdowns. But when it came to these truckers standing up for their rights to essentially say no to the vaccine, they were essentially put off as a fringe minority, in his words. Well, that fringe minority is up to 80,000 truckers that have signed on.
Excellent.
between Canada. Yeah. Your guys' side, it's been 4 days now, and the U.S. truckers have essentially closed off all the border crossings in the United States.
So so are they in solidarity with the Canadian truckers who are refusing to get the vaccines?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Not only that, but this has now gone worldwide. Australia, New Zealand, Germany, Holland, Bolivia, they all have their own groups now that are doing the exact same thing. So no longer a small minority or fringe minority. And of course, our glory.
Fascinating.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's fascinating how sometimes these small events that start small can escalate and can highlight a international global social issue, and the politicians, they don't know where it's coming from. You know what I mean? Like they're doing their regular virtue signaling. It's like, oh, everybody has to get their COVID vaccination, and the truckers are like, no, we're not going for that. And they're like, shut up, do what we're telling you to do. Otherwise, we're going to shame you. And it's like, no, this is now just exploded into a global incident.
It is. And they're doing everything they can to cover it up with mainstream media, just like they do with everything now. Right?
Exactly.
And if you think about it, MGTOW started the exact same way. They implicated laws that alienated fathers from their children and exploited them for cash and prizes, right? And then a group started, said, hey, we're walking away from this shit.
Right.
They bury us. They bury us under the sand and hope
they
we
shame
go away.
us. Yeah, they shame us.
And the same shaming language that they use on us has just been transferred to these truckers. These truckers are now terrorists. They're white supremacists,
Exactly. They're fascists.
Fascists. They're violent. Everything that they have
toxic
used.
Masculinity.
Yes, that was actually used. Justin Trudeau literally said those words. Right. And this, I think, is a fantastic thing, because not only has the media cover-ups fallen away from even like the normies that just watch CNN or CBC, because they can't hide from it now. But excuse me, this could lead into more things. What if our movement came to light? What if this same thing started exposing everything else they cover up?
Well, as you said, it is the same. It is the same movement. It is the very principles of trying to step on male freedom, individual rights, the working man, just working people. Okay, I'll even go with that. Through this gynocentric, feminist-based, consumer-based society, and media, in line with all of that. And boom, it explodes in their face and it comes to a head. And it's all of these issues. It's not just truckers. Although when the trucks stop running, the food stops getting delivered.
Well, the strong, independent woman starts falling away, right?
Exactly.
Where's dinner? Where's this? Where's that? And the government can't keep it up. They can't keep supporting them without our support. If there's nothing out there for them to buy with government-funded money that they can no longer get from us, more things can come to light from this. This could just be a tip.
This is beautiful, because this is right in line with Atlas Shrugged, where the trains get shut down, where they start to, this is communism as well. This is cultural Marxism. This is the idea of, the government wanting to take over production or, manufacturing or work or transportation, and exposing the hypocrisy and the self-serving, nature of the situation. And the system shuts down. That's exactly what happens. And this is exactly what, was outlined in Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah, exactly. you know, it all crumbles apart. This house of cards is falling down. This is just the top cards because they're new and they're kind of small, but at the same time, it's worldwide. We are now going to, you know, this could, and I won't fucking put my hopes up too high, but this could tumble that entire house. You know what I mean? This whole thing will come apart at the seams. Like right now, and I've stated before on my other streams and with other guys that I feel for the people in the major cities, right? Because now they're cut off from the majority of truckers have essentially stopped moving.
That's the price they've got to pay. That's the price you've got to pay.
Their comforts are now going to fall away, and you're going to get exposed to a very real reality. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go to the supermarket now because it's empty.
You remember one of the Batman movies where the Joker has poisoned the makeup, and nobody in the whole Gotham is allowed to can use makeup anymore because it'll drive them insane, and they'll turn into the Joker. And they're all on their newscasts. So they all look like crap. You know what I mean? Because nobody can wear makeup. So sometimes the people have to suffer. To see the real situation. To wake up and smell the roses. To wake up and smell the coffee. And you're absolutely right. An issue like this can highlight the very issues that MGTOW has been talking about, and they are the same. It's the same issues. And if we're smart, and I believe we are, although we're just not really organized well enough, we could take an issue like this and use it to highlight, the very essence of what we're talking about. And this is the game that the media has been playing for a long time. I mean, they're playing a long game. They know what they're doing. That's why they're trying to cover it up. That's why they're going to step back. That's why they're going to make some concessions and try to make it go away. But hopefully, it'll, the issue will come to the forefront and, it'll explode. I'm sorry.
Well, it's going to implode completely. I mean, we're now showing just how fragile our governments are, right? Without our backing, they are nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's why these politicians here are trying to flip as quickly as they can, because they know that Justin Trudeau has lost control of the narrative, right? He has now pushed people to the point where they are done from one end of the country to the other. Other countries around the world have all finally said, you know what, enough's enough. They can take a stand and grow a set of balls. We'll do the same thing. Now, I stated on a video I made the other day that we will most likely see another Bloody Sunday as of what happened in Ireland, because Justin Trudeau is a dictator. You don't convince dictators to stop what they're doing with words. So this doesn't end here. We might end the mandates, but as long as we leave that system intact, it'll just grow back. And getting rid of Justin Trudeau is not the answer. It's a part of the answer. But if you leave the rest, somebody else is just going to take its place, right? And even our most conservative, best supporters for here in Canada, when it comes to the freedom of people, they have sat back and watched this all happen and said nothing until now the narrative is swung against them. They're just as culpable, right? The way I see it, if you don't remove them all and vote in new people, you're just going to have another cycle just start to build up again. They'll start pushing narratives again, that don't make any sense. And eventually we will come back to another Justin Trudeau. It'll just be a different name with a different face, but allowing this to take hold and pull down the COVID narrative, which we've all know has been a huge fucking lie since day one.
Oh, yeah.
Because nothing makes sense. The data doesn't make sense. People have gotten super rich off this. And these people are
pharmaceutical companies have.
Yeah, and who's the biggest ringleader of this? We have Fauci, who just happens to own shares in Pfizer.
Exactly. Oh yeah, big pharma is deeply connected with the media. They have been for a long, long time, and force comes in many shapes and sizes. We say the word force and we think of physical force, but there is public shaming, there is ostracization, there is scapegoating on particular groups and people. And this is the kind of force that the government has been using for a long time now, with the cooperation of large moneyed interests and the media, because hey, they all want that money, they all want that power, and an issue like this can bring it to the forefront and highlight the great injustices. And yeah, it could be another French Revolution. You know what I mean? Like there was no turning back. There was like, no, we're gonna literally take these people out. We're gonna chop off their heads.
Yeah, and this is where like a speaker like yourself coming back into, putting out content, you literally couldn't have picked a better time, because we need people who can handle this a little better than I can. I'm very new, very green. I mean, I beat up my equipment, so you can obviously articulate our points of view better. Getting this message out as soon as possible and as far as possible will now switch spotlights from just being on vaccines and COVID to being on the parental alienation, the extortion of fathers, the exploitation of children. We could bring down everything in a house of cards, or even a line of dominoes. And we're, the MGTOW community is part of that. We are one of those dominoes, right?
Oh, we are the vanguard, to be honest with you, of this particular situation that's developing here. And yeah, we need to highlight it. And of course, the ability to articulate and to express, to form your arguments and to express them and to put them out there into the world in a way that people can understand them and adapt to them is the key. This is why being a lawyer is no joke. That's a hell of a skill right there.
It is absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I said, right now, yeah, most of the people, let's say that the cities do run dry, right? And this was a point that Trinity MGTOW was making there. The cities run dry. We mostly, in both countries, people who are more on the conservative side lean towards freedom. They are generally also preppers, or they at least have stockpiles waiting for things to happen, right? We are the ones that are going to be outlasting the liberal city dwellers, right? For the most part. We have skills. We have, our own knowledge to go along with dealing with less, not having handouts or, being given everything. And, eventually, even if it turns into a two-way rifle range, which, I don't expect it not to, we still kind of got them there too, especially in liberal countries like Canada.
Well, they can't win that, okay? The whole idea of force and intimidation, it's a threat. It's not, if you have to actually carry it out, you pretty much just lost the whole argument. It's a thing of intimidation. And, for it to come to a level like that, what would the issue be? The issue would be either you all get vaccinated or we're going to shoot you dead. You see what I mean? So they lose the argument then. Then the argument is exposed. The hypocrisy is exposed, and they can't let it get to that. And they won't. They won't. I don't think they will. But at this stage, if they did, like I said, fine. It exposes their hypocrisy. It exposes the disgusting nature of their true position of what they're really trying to do. And yeah, this may very well be the issue where we have them.
I believe Trudeau would go for it. right now, I mean, we've seen what he's done so far. The first thing that happened when these truckers showed up is he faked COVID and went into hiding.
That's wonderful.
And this is the guy saying, "Oh, the vaccine's working; they're fully safe," and blah 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 blah. Well, you're
Right.
double vaxxed and boost. Why do you have COVID?
Right. And this is in line with the Joe Rogan situation. And I'll tell you, the COVID situation is bullshit. Like, I went to get tested for COVID and they said, no, you're clear. You don't have COVID. And I said, that's great. And then they went and they tested me again and they said, oh, yeah, you've got COVID. And then 2 days later, I went and they tested me again and they said, no, you don't have COVID. So what does that tell you? Okay.
Yeah.
They don't know what the hell they're doing. It's bullshit. It's just a regular virus at this stage.
Well, we've dealt with COVID. COVID is just a form of SARS. SARS
Mhm.
is just a form of our common cold, right?
Exactly.
They're almost identical. Personally, I'm not as big on history as some people, but I've studied some viruses. I've never heard of a virus evolving this fast. You know what I mean? Like the Ebola that we had 80 years ago is the exact same Ebola strain. And that thing is lethal on all levels. The exact same rabies strain, the bubonic plague, they haven't evolved much over hundreds of years. But yet we've got this flu virus. And I know we get boosters for flu all the time.
Exactly.
I believe there's a new one for every year. But
Exactly.
even if I haven't taken one in 20 years.
Me neither.
And I'm pretty sure I'll survive the flu tomorrow if I get it. But we have seen 4 different variants now going into a 5th one on a common cold strain. Like,
right.
And it's the least lethal one, they're saying. But at the same time, the first one was supposed to be so deadly that everyone was going to die. I mean, we all saw those predictions from that same goofball who, I believe is from New Zealand, who had all those animals killed the last time we had an outbreak of like swine flu. That never happened.
Right.
I mean, they used his predictions to start this all off, and they were so out to lunch, it's not even funny. Where are these piles of dead people? Why is it my homeless population nearby has tripled? We brought the world, like most democratic countries or democracies, have brought their nations to their fucking heels, closing businesses, shutting down projects. Nobody can work for a living. Nobody can go around anyone. Right.
Well, it's Chicken Little. It's the boy who cried wolf. And once you take it too far, the lie, the hypocrisy, the absurdity of it, becomes exposed. And yeah, I felt all along that, COVID is basically just another virus. And in my opinion, it was basically instituted to get Trump out of office.
Well, I mean, they predicted that a while back. Are you familiar with the show London Real?
Yeah, I've seen it in the past. Sure. Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, he had one of the finance advisors for the U.S. on, I believe, when Trump was first in office, maybe on his second year, maybe his third. And he stated on that show, this was years before COVID. Yeah. He stated on that show that the only way they would get Trump out of office during this election was if there was a major calamity or some kind of virus outbreak, a pandemic. And what happened? A pandemic.
Yeah, they shut down the economy. I know a lot of people feel very strongly about Trump, and I don't want to get into that so much. But the economy was going good. He was taking the mainstream media to task and exposing their hypocrisy and their bullshit and their lies and their tactics. And nothing was working. You know what I mean? The people were saying, yeah, I guess this guy might be right. Like, I don't necessarily like him, but I think he's right. And they, how can we shut this down? And then boom, COVID came and the economy shut down. Movie theaters, restaurants, the big malls, all of these places got shut down and they'll never come back. Not the way that they were.
No, I mean, myself, I mean, I didn't run a brick and mortar business because I was sole proprietor that could pack everything into my car and take it with me, right?
Hmm.
Now, I could start up again very easily. The
Hmm.
problem that I ran into is I was doing commercial drywall, right? So we're talking large
Hmm.
scales, multiple buildings, apartment
Wow.
complexes. I wasn't doing
Wow.
residential, right?
Uh-huh.
Which is
Yeah.
just your standalone home.
Sure.
But when all this happened and we shut down our economy,
Mhm.
the people that owned homes or were building them or were about to build them had to stop because they didn't know where their money flow was going to end up. So
Yeah.
naturally, they
Understood.
put the brakes on.
Hmm.
All those
Yeah.
people that were doing residential homes came over to my side because it was the only one that was still flowing a little bit.
Right.
And
But
they
didn't
can
that get,
they can
wouldn't that get
outprice
shut down
me.
too?
No,
Yeah.
well, some of it was, but they, because a lot of buildings were new and nobody was living in them, you were only around your workers, your other essential workers, right? Which we were.
Hmm.
We were considered essential workers.
Right.
But the people who own residential homes, just standalone homes, weren't. So
Of
they didn't
course.
spend the money on doing anything. So
Hmm.
all the
Hmm.
guys that were doing residential,
Right.
and being able to do things under the book for next to nothing,
Right.
they came over to our side, went
Sure.
in, undercut us by like 4 times our price,
Of course.
right?
No, they're just trying to. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and I understand why they're doing it because they're not going to be held to the same standards as we are. I have to have
Exactly.
certain insurances and things in place that guarantee if something goes wrong,
Hmm.
these multi-million-dollar complexes are covered, right?
Right. Right.
They didn't have to do that. We'll come in and do it for, nickels on the dollar.
Exactly.
Guess who they stopped
Exactly.
calling? They stopped
Yeah.
calling me.
Yeah. Yeah. But those big giant, I see all the giant corporation buildings. The Wells Fargo building, the Bank of America building. The parking lots are empty. From
Yeah,
the COVID pandemic situation.
they are. And lots of people pulled their cash out.
Hmm.
They pulled out of the banks because the banks could no longer be relied on. Not the first year, but after the first year, yeah, people that had anything saved up, they were like, we're pulling it out just in case it becomes worth nothing.
Right. Right. But I'm talking about just all kind of corporations, all those, big corporate headquartered buildings, skyscrapers, multi-level, giant
Oh, yeah.
industrial complexes. No, there's nobody in the parking lots. Their parking lots used to be full every
Yeah.
day.
Everybody's either working at home or they're laid off.
Exactly.
So now that person that was laid off is not going to come back and have renovations done on his house. And he's not
Right.
going to have any upgrades done, or he's not building a new house. So, like I said, it all affects us straight down the line.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But the big, industrial complex, corporate headquarters, that's not building either because no people are coming into work. They all have to
No,
work from home.
no. And they have to pay for the building still. They have to pay for the utilities every month.
Heck yeah.
So they make
Crazy.
cuts where they can, right?
Right? Yeah, but they're also probably getting a break from the government too. You know what I mean? Because the
Well,
government knows that this was bullshit from the start.
yeah, and even here in Canada, they offered us a subsidy for essentially it was a loan, right? But
Exactly.
a loan you still have to pay back. So
Yeah.
they offered us a loan when they said, "Oh, it won't take more than 2 to 6 months to have this all cleared up."
Right.
I believe the loan's amount was $40,000. Okay,
Huh. Hmm.
how long does that last?
Not long.
Not long at all.
Nope.
You are fucked after those months are up, and now we're going on for what, 21 months, 23 months, something like that. We're into this.
Yep.
So
Years.
yeah, we're going into years. What's up, brother Reb? But yeah, like right now, I mean, we have to basically go through the shortages now, and in the end, we all know it was for bullshit. It was absolute
Exactly.
weapons grade bullshit.
Yeah. It was the government pitching a hissy fit so that they could get their way, so that they could get their people elected, so that they could be in power, so that they could decide where the money goes.
Yeah.
And in order to keep that false narrative going, they're taking these greater and greater steps. And finally, it's like, it's like a bully picking on somebody, and finally the person just says, you know what, let's fight. Let's actually do this. And the bully's like, well, I didn't necessarily want it to go there. I was like, you're damn right you didn't want it to go there. That's the game. You know what I mean? The bully does not want to actually have that fight. So the government does not want to actually have this fight.
Well, they can't win it. We've known that since day one. Even with their superior weapon strength, I mean, if the entire world's population is against an elitist class, I don't care how well you're paying your army or how many of them you convince to go after their own citizens or their next door neighbors to keep control of things, you're going to lose.
Well, yeah, once it comes to the forefront, once it becomes obvious, but it's been this covert, slow kill, situation that we've been trapped in for so long, and comes to the head, right? So,
and the other way that what we go through as men in society and have been for the last 45 years, that was a stepping stone. They used the separation of fathers from families as a way to weaken men so that we end up with the men that we have today.
Exactly. Right? Men raised by mothers with, a female mindset that are utterly dependent on the government and will cooperate with the group and will shame anybody who expresses any opinion otherwise. Yeah, we become, traitors to our own principles, to our own self. And yes, that is by design.
Yes, and our own nature. That's why they invented the word toxic masculinity. It used to be just masculinity. You had ass, you had shit people, but you had shit women too.
Yeah. Hey, I think the patriarchy is a great thing.
It literally built everything around us. The house I'm sitting in right now was built by patriarchy, by masculine men. The equipment I'm looking at, masculine men and the patriarchy. And it's been depreciated for like 40 years. And no, I mean, Coach Greg Adams, I don't watch him anymore, but he used to say, the barbarians at the gate. Well, in our case, in the Western world and in other countries where they've become super turbo liberal and essentially all followed this same demasculating mindset, the barbarians beating down the gate. Like, it's go time. If you haven't gotten your shit together by now and have some kind of self-sustaining, reliable lifestyle that you can turn to, you are fucked.
Yeah.
100%.
And this is the great thing about MGTOW, trying to teach the men to build this sustainable, lifestyle and situation where their eternal emotional, psychological validation, their physiology, actually, when you get right down to it, is not based on, this liberal female group approval, so important. And now it's coming to a head. And, I only wish that the men could have been and would be more prepared, almost, like preppers, and not just, individually preppers, but the idea of finding a group of men, friends, that you can trust that have real skills, like drywalling, like electricity, like they own trucks, like they own power tools. So when the shit does hit the fan, as we're, possibly looking at right now with the Strucker situation, you've got a group of friends where you can say, all right, guys, we're going up to the cabin, and we're bringing our supplies with us. And, Joe can take care of the plumbing situation up there. Chris can take care of the electrical situation up there. Howard can take care of the media situation, whatever. So I want the men in MGTOW, to really, to build that up. Look, it's great to have friends, okay? And this has been part of the systemic destruction of the male situation. It's not even the male situation. It's the right to assemble. It's the right of association, that has been taken away from it. That's what MGTOW is trying to be, an association. You know what I mean? A gathering, a grouping of men of a similar mindset. And yeah, they recognize the danger of that. And, they take it away from us.
They have literally, like I said, for the past probably 20 years, they have started turning us against our own nature from the time we're in the cradle. You know, we have families out there right now that both parents are gay for the others for the same sex. They have
Yep.
children together, and they're raising daughters as daughters, and they're raising sons as daughters.
Well, they're raising. I would even say they're raising their daughters as sons.
Or that. And they don't work. They don't work. They are literally brainwashing these children from the start. And we have parents out there, usually mothers, right? Because they're the ones that need their 5 minutes of fame and their glorification of what they've done. I believe you stated it on one video. You know, uh, it's more important if their baby was dying, they would just take a snapshot of how I'm trying to save this baby's life, essentially, that
Yeah.
glorifying moment. And I stated that if they were in a car accident and their car was on fire, they'd take a selfie first before they try to get the fuck out. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Just to
Yep.
show that, oh, look at what I'm doing. It's so amazing. Oh, it's tragic. That's
Well,
not in us. That's not usually in normal men. We are
no,
programmed to act right
exactly.
fucking now.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you didn't do that throughout evolution, you died. Okay.
Exactly.
It's only in this modern situation where the men have built everything and created all of these institutions and all of this technology that, a class of people could come up where they can actually afford to think that their feelings are the primary determinant, in reality. And no, it's got nothing to do with reality. This is the whole idea of, I'm triggered. And it's like, well, get over it, buttercup.
Yeah.
This is the real world.
Well,
But no.
welcome to reality. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah, a reality
Right?
check.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and that's what's coming. But like I said, the weakening of society and the generally the men in it, because the men are the ones that are called to the front lines. When shit goes wrong, nobody looks for a feminist. Nobody.
Exactly.
You don't,
well, hey,
right?
you don't draft the women,
Well, look at what happened when we tried to do that in the United States, or you guys did.
Yeah.
First thing they were saying is, that's enough feminism for me. I'll go back to the kitchen. Thanks, but I'll just get pregnant. And then they dropped it. So,
It doesn't work. You know what I mean? In the combat situation, it's like, one of our soldiers is out there and they're trapped, and it's a trap for us to go get them, and it's like, well, sorry, man. And it's like, but it's a woman, and everybody's like, I'll volunteer for the job.
Well, look how many women or men they sacrificed to save. Was her name Chelsea?
Yeah.
The one who was kidnapped. Like, nothing against Chelsea.
No, of
really.
course not.
I mean,
and soldiers defend soldiers, and that's a great,
exactly.
noble thing.
Yeah, we built brotherhoods in trenches. That's how they were built. That's why, like I stated in the video with Onefastdak the other night, we came together as communities, whether it's your neighborhood or your country or your city, it didn't matter, right?
Yeah, we built brotherhoods in trenches. That's a great expression, right?
Exactly.
There, Yeah, I want to hold on to that one.
But now, if you took a woman's mindset, if she didn't like Stacy down the street because she was better looking or she got a taller husband, she's going to take that exact same mentality to when shit goes south. I won't be next to her. How many times have we seen that? Oh, I don't want to sit next to her because she's a cunt. I don't want to sit next to her because she's dating my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, or she's prettier than I am.
Or she's prettier than I am. Can you imagine
my butt's bigger?
Can you imagine if men took that sort of mentality into a trench? What the fuck would happen?
Exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's the reality check. You know what I mean? That's reality biting you in the ass. That's what men have had to deal with, throughout all of evolution. The true reality, the physical world reality of the situation. And we've spared, the other classes, the women, the children, and that's fine. That's good, but it goes too far.
Well, we used to be appreciated for that role. Now we're demonized for it, and if you still needed to call upon it, like Rebel Against Defeat was just saying, if you were in a house fire, do you think a feminist is actually going to fucking muster up the courage to come save your ass?
Of course not.
Of course not.
Even if she did muster up the courage, you think she's got the physical ability to do it?
No, because she's not built for it.
No, she's not. And she's built for having children.
Yeah,
and we can pump her. We can pump her full of testosterone, and she can work out, 6 days a week. And you know what'll happen? She won't be able to have children anymore.
Exactly, and she'll still have a woman's built body. Look at what's happening with the transgender men going into women's sports. They're absolutely fucking annihilating them. Yeah,
that cracks me up. That shit cracks me up to see the picture of the transgender, guy running at the front of the pack, and the women are like 20 paces behind, and he's just got that female ecstatic, happy look on his face, like, I'm winning the race, and all the women are back behind him like, shit, this isn't fair.
Right? The look on their faces of the disappointment and disgust with their own fucking program. This is what they voted for. This is what they've asked for. They've stood, most likely, every one of those women that were involved with the weightlifting competition where the New Zealand transgender took the fucking championship, or the runner. Most of those women 5 to 10 years ago were all voting for this equal trans rights bullshit, or yes, let's feminize men and make them into girls because the future is female. There is no future without each other. And
this is the fruition of their moral code. You know what I mean? This is the moral bankruptcy of their code. It's like, oh, we're all exactly the same. No, we're equal before the law. We have equal rights before the law, but we're not all the same. And this, feminized attitude of this in-group bias, and it even creeps into MGTOW. It even does, because the men, plenty of the younger men, plenty of the men, they're still fighting with a gynocentric, female mindset. They're like, hey, you're not allowed to say that. And it's like, well, I just did. And what does the word can't mean? I mean, it doesn't exist. The word can't doesn't exist.
We've thrown the word can't around so much that it's used for everything.
Right. So now you've got the situation with the truckers where the government is like, you have to do this. And the guys are looking at them and saying, what does this word have to mean? And does it mean that you're going to come out here with a gun and point that gun at me? And if you do, then,
we got way more people with guns, and you ain't got enough bullets.
Yeah, but it highlights the just the trashiness, the terrible aspect of what they're really saying. It's like, oh, like it was presented as this moral imperative that you had to do, and it's like, this isn't a moral imperative. This isn't what I have to do. This is you saying, if I don't do what you say, you're going to hurt me. Even when I was a little kid, I've always had this in my nature. And maybe a teacher or somebody in authority, would say, you have to do this. And I would always look at them and I would say, or what? Or what? Because I knew the answer was, or I'm going to punish you. I'm going to hurt you. And I knew that, exactly. And I knew that if it came down to that their moral position on you have to do this was invalid, was worthless, was garbage, needed, in fact, to be defied.
Yeah. Well,
so, when somebody came to me and they said, hey, you kind of need to do this, Howard. It's for the best, and da-da-da-da-da. I would take that in and I would say, okay, yeah, I see your point. But when somebody came to me in middle management and said, you have to do this or else you're in a lot of trouble, I'd be like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to beat me up? You're going to lie to the boss about me?
Who hasn't worked with somebody that stated, because, they might have had their own business at one point, but now they were working for the same people as you were? Who hasn't had somebody that stated that if you were working for me, I'd fire you? Mm-hmm. Why am I? My answer to them was, then why am I not working for you? If you're so good and I'm so bad at this, or if you're so good, why are you not running your own show? You know what I mean?
And, when you go into a deeper psychological interpretation of it, they're projecting their own fears, their own weaknesses, their own worldview onto, other people. So,
Yeah.
like the manager comes into the situation and he, walks around and he says, oh, you're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. I told you to do it this way. You're a dumbass. I should fire all of you. And it's like, whoa. You're not the business owner here. You're the middle management here. And, you're not actually pointing out the problems here. You're actually just mouthing off because you're afraid that everybody's looking at all of your problems and you're highlighting everybody else's problems. So it's this projection of this, morally bankrupt, worthless worldview, this feminized, gynocentric, collectivized, group view of you have to follow the rules, you have to conform, you have to do what we say, or we're going to hurt you. And again, it's not always physical force. It's we're going to shame you. We're going to tell lies about you. We're going to get you fired. We're going to, come after, your friends, anybody who's friends with you. We're going to punish them, thus destroying, this right of association, this brotherhood that men naturally develop because we have to deal with the physical realities, of reality.
Yeah, and that was one of those. I ran into that situation, where I was being told by another employee who used to be a business owner himself. The business fell through because either A, he didn't do it right or didn't manage it right.
Right.
Businesses fail for reasons.
Yep.
And now he's working for another welding shop, and I was just an apprentice. That was my first year apprenticing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know fuck all before I walked in there.
Sure.
And he is just another employee. He's not even management. Right. And he's stating to me and another guy who was on his second or third year apprenticeship that he would have fired us if we worked for him.
I get it. Okay,
you're projecting your failures onto other people. That's what women do.
Exactly.
Right?
And then try to use a kind of group shaming situation.
It's a very female mindset, right? It's like you said, I don't like Shirley because she's prettier than me or she's got a nicer butt.
Right.
You're just starting out and I'm a failure. So we're both working in the same place. So I have to try to shame you somehow as loudly as possible. Female mindsets, right?
Yeah.
So
true.
What we've lost in society is just astronomical. But the MGTOW community is what's going to save it. And like I stated with the COVID thing and how media is being, completely blacklisted right now by even their own supporters, this could be that tipping stone. We might not be the first domino, but we're in a line. You know what I mean? We could use the exact same exposure to these false narratives that are being pushed and one-sided propaganda to point out other things, which is fantastic. I have high hopes.
When Rosa Parks got on that bus and was told, that she couldn't, sit, she had to go to the back of the bus. That was not an accident, not at all. She knew exactly what bus she was going on. They had determined, to make this situation. As a matter of fact, they had another woman set up to go do this very thing, but then they found some questionable things in her past, in her history, that they knew that if they used her to highlight this particular issue, that the media would be able to say, well, this woman was once, a prostitute, so therefore anything that this woman has to say, we can pretty much invalidate it. So they said, no, Janie, you can't get on the bus and, and then be forced to go to the back of the bus because we can't tell the news story about you. We've got to find somebody who is pretty much spotless. So they picked out Rosa Parks, and she intentionally got on that bus knowing that what was going to happen. And then they used that story to illustrate the principles in their cause. And yes, this trucker issue could be one of those issues, one of those turning points that MGTOW, that free-minded people, that men use to highlight the hypocrisy and the moral bankruptcy and the, unvirtuous tactics that big government has been using against us for 50 years.
Exactly. I mean, look at what they did with Kyle Rittenhouse. Look at what they did with Oh, Jesus, I've even gotten his name forgotten.
Mhm.
George Floyd, right?
Mhm.
Two completely
Yeah.
separate situations. One we would normally look at as, well, this guy is committing crimes and he's on drugs. Yes, I'm not saying the police officers did everything right. I don't know. I wasn't there. From what I could tell, they were just trying to detain him for the most part, and he probably held him there too long. I'm not saying the police were completely innocent,
Right.
but George Floyd is not a fucking saint. He's a criminal.
Yeah.
And he was on drugs,
Yeah.
like severe drugs. We're not talking he's high on pot. He's high on methamphetamines and fucking fentanyl, which could have led
Yeah.
to his actual death. Kyle
Yeah.
Rittenhouse was running from a mob of fucking 300 angry, violent people that fucking burnt down half a city just moments before. And they're beating him with skateboards. One pulls a gun. What would you do?
Right. Right.
But one is sanctified. George Floyd,
Yep.
the one who shouldn't be listed as a saint, that should have never went really anywhere. He's a saint now and pushed
Exactly.
through the media as a saint. Kyle Rittenhouse, to this day, even though he's been proven innocent after 2 years of fighting it, is a fucking, criminal. Listed as a criminal.
Exactly. And now we take these individual instances of situations that highlight a larger issue and we zoom out to highlight, the overall hypocrisy in the system. There's a line in the comic book Kick-Ass. It's a great comic book where Big Daddy, the father, asks Hit Girl, what's a Democrat? And he asks her this while she's cutting up some criminals, and he's backing her up with a sniper rifle, and she says, Democrat is someone who will support murdering babies, march in a parade to murder babies, and will hold a candlelight vigil for a serial killer.
And that is gold right there. That should be their fucking slogan.
Well, it is. It is.
It really should. I mean, you're talking about, George Floyd was a person. Yes, he was. So were the other, what was it? 4.8 million babies that you murdered in the past, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. And, marching in the parade for that one,
Yeah.
And then holding the candlelight vigil for the serial killer because, the state's going to put him to death or her.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and when it comes to Kyle Rittenhouse there, the guy that he shot was a known pedophile.
Mhm.
Multiple cases against him where he raped children, signed up with single mothers just to rape children.
Mhm.
And he's a saint. They literally have pictures of him and the other guys like they're fucking saints.
Exactly. Look at the situation of somebody like, the Night Stalker, Ramirez, I guess it was, getting wedding proposals while he's on death row.
Yeah. How many? Okay. That's just shows you how crazy they are. You would not let a crazy person fucking, run things, but yet we are. You're looking at women that go to these serial killers while they're in prison, giving out marriage proposals, and it's not a new thing.
Exactly.
Are you that lost? Is your brain that damaged?
Right. So the question then kind of becomes, why can't the men, see this and respond to this appropriately and say, that's just crazy. You know what I mean? And you really don't even have the mind of a human being. You can't be trusted with anything. And the answer is because they want to get laid, because they're blue pill simping men that were raised by mothers and they're dependent on the government and on the system. And they're like standing right behind her and saying, yeah, you go, girl.
Yeah, because they need that validation. They're looking to them for the validation instead of looking to their peers because they have no male role models.
Exactly, because the brotherhood has been destroyed.
The fatherhood's been destroyed. You took away a father, you took away his role model.
Absolutely.
No, I'm not saying all fathers are perfect.
Of course
right?
not.
We know lots of bad fathers out there. Okay. but that's a small minority.
Yeah, well, again, it's this effective use of the media and propaganda to take these individual instances where, yeah, okay, this man, yeah, is crazy, he's out of line,
Yeah.
he's a mad dog, and it's like, toxic masculinity. It's like, no, actually, 99.9% of the men are your protectors, your providers, your builders, and they'll sacrifice and they love their women, and they have decent. And no, that's been denied because this now empowers the government to pretty much say things like that. And if you don't get a COVID test, we're going to take away all your jobs. If you don't get a COVID, we're going to take away all your jobs. So, this is what it's come to. This is the fruition of this moral code, of this ethical system that they have in place, which is, you want to say cultural Marxism. It's this unfocused psychological dream state of reality gets to be whatever I want it to be. And the men have built the system so damn well and are protecting everything so damn well that the woman actually thinks it's real. You know what I mean? And now the abuse and the usurpations have become so strong that the men are being, they're going their own way naturally. And the system is breaking down. And the woman is like, wait a minute, this isn't all based on my opinion and how I feel. And I'll show my boobs a little bit more. I'll put on a little bit more makeup. And if you don't, go along with me, I'm going to shame you to the group. You're a misogynist.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm just an honest man who's telling the truth.
I mean, we like you said, we've built society so far to be so essentially easy. It's been so well done.
Right.
That the people in the world right now, 40, 50 years old, doesn't matter. If they're 16 or 60, they think that it's all done automatically.
Well, they're like spoiled children. They're like children who had very wealthy parents, that gave them everything and they never had to work for it. They never had to earn it. And every time they got in trouble, they were bailed out. And now, the shit is hitting the fan. Reality is coming to the forefront. And they're like, wait a minute. I'm going to pitch a fit. I'm going to cry. I'm going to lay down on the ground and I'm going to bash my fists into the ground. And it's like, well, good luck with that, Buttercup.
Yeah, the power's not running anymore. There's no food in the stores. What's going on? Why hasn't this been taken care of by daddy government?
Exactly.
Because daddy government doesn't take care of that.
Right. And daddy government knew that it was usurping, the individual man's role and intentionally, played into this narrative to destroy the male image, to destroy our ability to support each other, to be brothers, to have friends, to form associations like MGTOW.
To be fathers to our children.
Yeah, to be fathers, to instill the values and to mirror the behavior that they would need to be successful in life when the troubles, do come to the front.
Exactly. I mean, no mother is going to teach a son how to be that person who's, hears the bump in the night and goes down the stairs or, throws his life on the line when something goes wrong.
And understand it's tied to the male physiology. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly. Like you tell that little boy, there's 4 women in the house, older women, and there's a little boy, and there's a sound outside, and the little boy is like, "Oh, I'll go see what it is,"
and the little boy
goes, "Oh, exactly. Oh, it's built into the physiology." And out he goes, and he comes back, and he says, "No, it was just a tree branch, hitting up against the window. Everything's okay." And they say, "Well, thank you, little Johnny. Good job there, little Johnny." And Johnny says, "No problem. I'm the man of the house." And they all smile, and that's great. He feels great about that. But now take the reverse situation where they look at him and they say, "Oh, Johnny, you're just a little boy. Janie here is in the police force. We're sending her out there." And it's like he says, "Oh, okay, shucks." Looks down at the ground, and his testosterone doesn't work right that whole summer.
Well, I mean, it's not only that, but like we've heard stories where mothers have sacrificed their children, young children, even if little boys essentially, that have been put out into those dangerous situations. What if it wasn't just a tree branch? What's a fucking 9-year-old gonna do? You've taken away guns, so obviously he doesn't know how to use that because you as the mother don't know how to use it and you never got him one. I know women. I have met women who wouldn't let their children play with toy guns.
Oh, exactly. No,
because
the
that's
little
too
boy,
violent.
yeah, the little boy is not even to play cops and robbers on the playground, or cowboys and Indians, and have the fake handgun, where he uses his hand like it's a gun. He'll get expelled from school. He'll be shamed. He'll be thrown out.
Yeah, he's toxic.
Exactly.
But you expect to send the same 9-year-old boy out who to check out what's going on around the yard if you're hearing noises? What if it's an actual intruder or somebody stealing your shit?
Well, hopefully it's he's a young little man. He's a little man. He goes out there, he sees it, and he ducks back out. He realizes the danger of the situation, and he ducks out of it. And he says, "Well, we gotta deal with this." And doesn't try to confront it.
But I mean, do most
that's how I was raised.
Do most modern women know what the dangers are?
Of course not.
Honestly, do you think
that's what we shielded them from, because we love them so much?
Exactly. And we built this society where you have neighbors and blah blah blah. Well, I mean, if it's all worked out so well, how is it that the woman that was raped?
Yeah, I'm outdoors.
Somebody's racing. How is it that the woman that was raped on the train and everybody stood around and watched? How did that happen? You know what I mean? If we've done so well, if you're doing such a good job, you've made it so perfectly set. Everything's set so perfectly right now that women can now be raped in public and nobody's going to do a goddamn thing about it.
Yep. Well, that's, you've destroyed masculinity.
Not only that, but I mean, we have seen, and I love to bring up this fucking scenario, women have been helped by men, just like the gentleman in Australia, and then had to fight for their freedom because they put in a false allegation of sexual assault.
Mm-hmm. But this is intentional too. You know what I mean? This just isn't, female nature and the women vindictively doing this. This is the government. This is the globalist corporation knowing that, no, we don't want strong, independent, human beings that can think for themselves. We want sheeple who will do what we say, when we say, how we say it. And, this is a fascinating aspect of our culture. Like I said, they're playing the long game. Okay. We are not trained. We are not raised. We are not bred to have happy, rewarding, fulfilling, meaningful, purposeful lives. We are bred. We are made. We are trained and conditioned to follow orders, to do as we're told, to go to war, to let ourselves be sacrificed and killed. And, this now the government has the power. Now the corporation has the power. But now your men, they don't have balls. They don't have a backbone. They've got a female mindset because they've been shamed their whole lives to go along with this female mindset by design.
And the ones that find that this goes against their complete nature, or they still have a spine or a set of balls, they find us.
Hopefully, this is part of what I'm talking about with the idea of somehow expanding MGTOW. And I understand the resistance to that idea. It's like, no, MGTOW is beneath the radar. We don't want that public attention. And it's true, this is a covert operation. If you make it explicit, you actually put a target on yourself. So I understand.
We're already targeted.
Yeah, already targeted. Exactly. We are already targeted, and you don't get to pick the fight. You know what I mean?
No.
The fight picks you, and then you've got to step up to the fight. So can we afford to be silent, docile, waiting for the man to come to us when
I don't think so anymore.
Probably going to die.
He is. Most men that commit suicide generally end up in the same situation that either I was in or that gentleman that was taken up on false allegations in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his wife. He lost his job. The police had the video footage to clear him that day.
Yep.
And they didn't do it.
Nope.
They held on to push the narrative so that we could put an innocent man in jail. Why the fuck would anybody want to sign up for that?
Exactly.
That's why I'm telling guys to stay the hell away from Spain, because you're guilty by association there. Literally,
Mhm.
you don't walk into a courtroom and, have a fighting chance to proclaim you're innocent if you're a man and you're going up against a woman. They have already,
Innocence.
yeah,
What,
they have
what,
already pegged you guilty, and you're just there to fight against
in,
going to jail, but you're still going.
innocence. Innocence is not a defense.
It
Innocence
shouldn't
is not a
need one.
defense. The truth, no, exactly. It shouldn't need one. That's justice. Okay. Innocence is not a defense. The truth is not a defense. Facts are not a defense. Okay. The moral, cultural, outrage of the female, of the group, of the herd is what determines, how all this stuff is going to play out. Now, this, of course, does not allow you to manipulate objective reality. And that's what we're seeing. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you've got to have a COVID shot. It's like, what do you mean I have to have a COVID shot? I'm pretty sure I woke up this morning and I don't have to have a COVID shot. And it's like,
Yeah.
are you going to put a gun to my head and say I have to have a COVID shot? It's like,
Have they not done that?
well,
Have they-
they're going to try all their other tactics. And, once it gets to that, boom, now you've got your Rosa Parks situation where you're able to take these individual instances, this particular instance, and then zoom out into this universal truth that's being exposed. And yes, we need people who can articulate, who can see these things and can articulate them. This is why, I do like Terrence Popp. I do like, Joe Rogan and the stuff he's doing. But it's a slightly different thing from MGTOW. You know what I mean? It's a much wider, broader kind of general dissatisfaction. It's like, yeah, it sucks. I don't like doing what the sergeant says. It's like, well, that's a little different from, you've just been ordered to, burn down an entire village. It's a slightly different aspect of the situation that we're dealing with. Now, do we need to go into that level? Probably not. MGTOW is probably more the core basic philosophy of it. But do the men need to get that? You know what I mean? There was that great movie Gone Girl, that came out a while back, highlighting these types of things. Yeah, she's gone. She just goes crazy, with false accusations and destroying a man's life and everything like that.
Yes, and we've seen that in the mainstream, and it's come out that these things are lies, but that doesn't stop the fact that the next person that steps up to the plate, I mean, we have that believe all women has been out there, right?
Oh yeah, believe all women, exactly.
That's what the courts are following. How can we come back? Like, how I like to go off what Hammerham says. If the laws haven't changed, if we aren't getting treated fairly when it comes to dealing with accusations or family courts or anything along that level, if we're still considered these toxic beings, why should we participate in their game, the day-to-day life of their game?
Yeah,
we shouldn't.
Exactly. No.
And until that happens, we shouldn't. This is why I think PUAs are so goddamn dangerous for young men. Absolutely. Another reason. Even if you were just going out to find a wife right now, that's a fucking huge mistake in 2022. Yeah, it was a huge mistake in 2020.
Well, that's going out into no man's land. That's going out onto the battlefield where they're set up with machine guns and barbed wire, and you don't even know where you're going.
They're gonna fucking cut you down because, I mean, if you went over most people's past relationships, even women in their like late 30s, early 40s, the longest relationship they've had is 2 years.
Yeah. Now let's zoom in. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what makes them ready to settle down or marriage material now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was at a garage sale once, and I could tell it was the parents' house of the son, and his new wife was there. They were, early 20s, and they were doing a garage sale, and she was gathering up all of his boyhood, young manhood memorabilia, his trophies, his sporting equipment, his collectibles, and she was putting them out to be sold in the garage sale for pennies on the dollar. Like they had more sentimental value to them. And like, really, is she going to sell, the kid's high school football trophy? And the answer is yeah. And she's going to sell it for $2, you know. And she and the parents of the son, they were like, you know, just 100% behind her. You know, the man gets together with the woman and he thinks it's going to be you and me against the world. And it's like, no, it's going to be her and the world against you,
Yeah.
even your own family.
When she's done using you, or you outlive your usefulness, she is going to turn the world against you.
And the big picture is that the government, the institutions, the school system, the sporting industry, the media, the religions are right there in that, because they know that they don't want Johnny to grow up to be somebody who can write that book and make those videos and reach those masses of men, to make them quit their jobs, to make them say no to their, you know, COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
So this is a long game that's been going on for a long time. And we are now, you know, it's coming to a head. We're seeing the fruition of all of this gynocentric feminist cultural Marxist bullshit, which is, you know, rooted in just this simplistic childlike mind of, I want this, I want that, you better give it to me or I'm going to hurt you. Like I said, it's not all physical force, it's shaming, it's exclusion from the group, it's getting kicked out of your job.
Mattress Girl was one of the prime examples of that. She got what she wanted, right? But because her friends embarrassed her and said, oh, that guy's a loser, you shouldn't have slept with him, she's now carrying a mattress on her back for like 2.5 months in school, putting a false rape allegation against a guy, and destroyed his future, got him kicked out of school. She leaves school, you know, when she's done, gets out into the real world, her name is out there, and she writes a book about how she can't find a husband now.
Yeah, exactly.
Woe is me. I'm a victim again.
Yeah. Do you know that if our current trends continue, it's predicted that there will be no men in higher education colleges by like the year 2060? There'll be a few, very wealthy.
I don't give it that long.
Yeah, exactly.
I do not give it that long. We are set up in an elitist society. You know, our politicians that we have today didn't go to the same schools as the rest of us.
Nope.
You know what I mean? And I'm not even talking private schools.
No.
That stuff never happens to them for a reason. They go and still have the same fun that we all do in college, but they're never put up against a false allegation. You know what I mean? Unless, of course, it was like the one guy that they were trying to get in for Justice of the Supreme Court, I believe.
Yeah, Kavanaugh.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, Kavanaugh. 40 years ago, nothing really adds up. Nobody can remember where it was or what happened or where they were, but we're going to try to destroy them with it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, to this day, if you ask the leftists, you know, like, what do you know about Brett Kavanaugh? He's a rapist.
Exactly.
No, he's not. No, he
family
isn't.
Man. Yeah.
Not only that, but the allegations didn't hold up. Mattress Girl's allegations didn't hold up. Didn't stop him from destroying that dude. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And she gets to walk away and become a victim again 10 years later.
And this is what the men and the boys need to be aware of, that this is the environment that they're in. And, you know, your own physiology is being used against you.
Yes.
You know, your own virtue is being used against you because it serves this larger corporate government interest, and they're in on it. You know, and all the young man wants to do, all the man wants to do is make his way in society. You know, and this has been made impossible for us. And what are we going to do? You know, and the answer is, of course, you know, you're going to go MGTOW, but that's almost cliche when you put it that way. You know, it's like, well, that doesn't, the man still doesn't have a job. He's still been kicked out of his house. He's living in his car, and the window's broken. You know, so hey, go MGTOW, bro. And it's like, thanks, I'm hungry and I'm freezing and I'm dying and I'm going to jail. And, you know, I mean, like, I'm right there. You know what I mean? This isn't, you know, just me talking with abstractions and, you know, to point out philosophical ideals. No, I'm right there.
That sucks.
Yeah, this is why having friends is such a good thing.
I was there myself. I mean, I was an immigrant in the United States, had no family nearby, no way to make an income other than a little bit of cash that I was making under the table. My wife filed divorce papers, kicked me out, and still somehow got to walk away saying that she was the strong, independent one, and I left her.
Yeah.
And our kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I could tell that, you had that depth of experience just hearing you on the DAC stream the other night. I said, okay, here's a businessman. Here's a man who's been through it. I need to talk to this guy because, he's got the insight that the other men need to have. And, we denigrate the businessman. We denigrate the independent contractor. And this should be one of our heroes in society. This is one of our first responders, to be honest with you, the businessman, the independent contractor. This is the embodiment of, the free market, of freedom, of, coming into a free market, competing effectively, offering the better product at the better price, and then, be rewarded for that. And we've lost that. That's been taken away. That's been undercut by the government, by the big corporations. And it's destroying the individual men's lives is the whole thing. So the man is stuck in this horrible, horrible situation, and he can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't even care about the bigger picture. You know what I mean? Yeah, he wants to get laid. Yeah, he wants female validation. He wants food. He wants to get back in the herd. He wants to get back in the group. He wants to get back into that cushy job, where nobody's really working, and yet, but things are still being produced.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're not even on like the desirable level anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we've all heard it where they say, like, where have all the good men gone? Well, you weren't looking at good men. You know what I mean? If you don't look at them, they're all around you. You must see like a sea of ghosts because they're all around you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Even today, the way most modern women are being raised, the last person that they would pick out of a list of careers is the working man. The con man and the fucking hustler or the drug dealer come first. They're top on the list.
The serial killer.
The serial killer.
Because he's famous.
Yeah, he's got the fame around him. They get that what do they call it? They get that hypergamy fed with being so under the spotlight. It doesn't matter if it's negative or not. Right? Negative spotlight is still a spotlight.
Exactly.
And it's why they're willing to sit in a burning car and take a selfie before they fucking, try to get out.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, what the hell, man? When you have the main backbone of society that are unhappy because they can't find a partner anymore, or the partner that they have is essentially thrown them to the wind when they were done, and is now using the government and their children to destroy them and extort them for every dime they're worth. Why do you think so many men decide to fucking, evacuate their own meat suit?
Yeah.
That's what I would like to change. I'd like to see that fucking change. Personally.
Yeah. Well, how do we do that? How do we do that?
That's a good question, man. I mean, I've been through this shit and I couldn't find anyone who could tell me anything to make me feel better. Right? When I was first separated from my children, for 2 years, man, I slept maybe like 4 hours a day. Yeah. I was working 18 hours at one point in those days.
Yeah.
And if I stopped, I just felt the sorrow coming over me because all I thought about was my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To sob yourself to sleep every fucking night sucks.
Yeah. No, true. Exactly. Just hearing it, breaks my heart. It really does. We don't have the support and, the association with the other men. The brotherhood, has been broken, and let's use the expression, a brotherhood of man. This is what's been destroyed, and it's been replaced with this corporate gynocracy, of these are our feelings and this is what we want. And isn't this a pretty picture? And wouldn't you like to be famous? Hey, I'd like to have a whole lot more subscribers. you know,
Hey, me
but
too.
yeah, exactly. But I'm not going to compromise, you know, my ideals and my principles. I'm not going to, you know, make my videos all about, you know, TikTok girls with big butts. I'm not going to do it. Hey, I like big butts. You
Yeah.
know, I like those two big basketballs that you could bounce around, you know. And it's like, you know, where do you think she got that butt, incidentally? Where do you think she got that expression, you know, with her face all done up and her lips all puckered up, looking at the camera, just kind of moving around? Where do you think she got the balls to do that? And why
Yeah.
are the men walking around like they're broken animals? You know, they're bending over like their back is broken and they can't even walk. You know, where do you know, what do you think went wrong there? You know, physiologically, it'd be like going into a herd of animals on the Serengeti, and you'd see all these women that are just like fat and fucking well fed, and looking great, and first choice of all the food, and all the males are just broken down and, you know, scared and timid and, you know, running from every little thing, you know. And this is kind of what we're looking at. And
Well, I
it's a
mean,
reversal. It's
look
a
at the
reversal.
abuse that men go through when it comes to, you know, domestic abuse. It's
Oh
never
yeah.
registered. And
Yeah,
it's
the psychological and emotional aspect of
the
it. That's
psychological,
so.
emotional, the physical. I mean, I've seen
Oh
women
yeah.
go fucking all out on dudes and it's not even looked at.
Yeah, and you better
It's
not raise your
brushed off.
hands. Yeah, you better
And
not
if
even
you
raise your
touched her,
hands.
exactly, you
Oh,
touch her, you're going to fucking jail and 9 other people are going to pile on your ass.
yeah, and when you get in jail, when they find out what you're in jail for, the other guys there are going to beat you down.
Yeah. We've become a
Pretty much.
society of slaves to beat each other down for them, despite
Exactly.
the abuse they do.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you, okay, you know, the justice system, you know, you think, you know, like nobody wants to go to jail, right? You think, okay, you know, I'm going to have to deal with the other inmates. No, the inmates are not your, it's not your danger. They're in that same situation with you. You think, oh shit, I'm going to have to deal with the guards. They're corrupt. No, the guards are not all that bad. I mean, they're not good, but they're not bad. They're just guys working a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the institution itself that breaks the
Yeah.
people down. It's the, you know, waking up every day and getting a sack of peanut butter and a plate full of slop. And I mean slop. You know, it's like, well, you know, you're just using that expression. No, I mean slop. I
Well,
mean
my ex-wife had
watered
me
down. Yeah.
my ex-wife had me put away for 3 days in fucking county, right?
Okay.
When she filed our divorce because she used that, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you know, all the guys in there told me, because I mean, this is my first experience
Yeah,
with jail, right?
sure.
That's not
Right.
common where I come from. A
Mm-hmm.
drunk tank, maybe,
Exactly.
but it's a
Yeah.
big joke, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Onefastdak. But yeah, I mean, those guys were all there telling me like, "Hey, man, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it." You know, it's like
Yep.
I didn't expect to find that in a jail.
Exactly.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
You expect to find every man attacking every other man, and that's not the
Yeah.
case. It's not the
Well,
inmates that, you know, is the danger. It's not even the guards that is the danger. It's the institution itself that's the danger.
after my 3 days of being there, all I wanted
Uh-huh.
to do was return that kindness by
Sure.
going back there and waiting for guys to come out and just to have a cigarette to hand them or a nice cup of coffee or something. You know?
Yeah, or put a couple dollars on their books.
Yeah, I'm a charitable kind of guy. I'm not a greedy person. I mean,
Of course
this
not.
year I went and bought 110 gift bags for kids in the local area with my tips, right? So
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
that's how I make my day happy for me. You know, that made
Well,
my whole year.
yeah, there's a fascinating aspect to, you know, being productive and getting things done, and I can't explain this one yet. You know, but it seems like the more you give, the more you get, and the more you try to hold on to things, the more they slip through your fingers.
Well, but given to the wrong people will get you nothing,
Exactly.
right? And
Exactly.
the way we're raised, like I'm still an 80s child. The way I was raised is I'm supposed to give to women
The
only.
needy.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
women only,
Exactly.
right? Or especially that.
Yeah.
And what did I get in return? My wife stole
False
my 3
accusations.
kids. She put
Yep.
me in jail, divorced me, left me in a country where she knew I couldn't leave and couldn't support myself, and took my kids out of my life. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's what I get for taking on a single mother, right? All the red flags were there, brother. all the red flags were there. And the same woman that did all this to me when we first got together called me her rock. I've always been there for her.
Exactly. And you felt great about that. And I don't mean you, I mean, the man feels like this is the purpose of my life. This is the greatest feeling in the world. She loves me and everything I do really, really matters. And then to have that taken away.
Oh God, it was the worst betrayal of my life. The worst.
Exactly.
To this day, something inside of me is broken, but I can't tell you what.
Of course. Exactly.
Because this is going on 5 years and I've been with 3 different women. Sure. I haven't had a feeling for any of them.
No, of course not. No, you're still reliving, I understand.
Yeah. Not what I call not a feeling. Like I don't have a intimate feeling. I care about everybody.
Sure.
But I don't have an intimate feeling.
Well, no, you're not going to let yourself go there, man. That'd be crazy.
And there's nothing I can do to turn it off. Nothing.
No.
This is what the 2.5 years of essentially fucking sitting up sobbing every night, missing my kids has done to me.
Yeah.
And there's no fixing that.
No. And now, we have to zoom out and say, so is this what MGTOW means for all the men? It's like, well, I'm MGTOW and, F her. It's like, really? And, that's the way you're going to feel for the rest of your life. You're never going to have, these types of feelings. I love some of the earlier, some of Church Flinging Monkeys, videos where he explained that, no, you feel the same physiological attachment and satisfaction from the sex doll eventually. And it's not even like eventually. It's like, no, it's like you can still have those feelings, not with a live, woman who's fallible and, has all these weaknesses and has a society and a culture, that's in her corner. You can have those feelings about a really nice sex doll.
To be honest with you, that'd be probably the only place I could put them.
Exactly. Right.
At least if I get sick of her, I can melt her down.
Well, no, hey, you can get yourself a harem. You know what I mean? Yeah. Get yourself a whole garage full of different brands. Different styles and different makes. There you go. So it's like, one of them, it's like, no, I'm just not feeling it with this one tonight.
Yeah, no, Church Flinging Monkey was. TFM was the best, man. It was sorry to see him go off YouTube because, man, I watched him religiously. But if it wasn't for the community that I found in MGTOW or the Red Pill, I'd just be another statistic. I would have most likely said fuck it and ate my own gun.
Yeah. Exactly.
But the recent episode there with Jay Black, at least, like, yes, I mean, I'm not happy that 3 people are dead. I'm not. But at least Jay didn't just turn the gun on himself. He pointed out very clearly who was to be responsible, and this man is a victim, just like the rest of us. He took it out on them, and unfortunately, he took it out on himself after. But at least he pointed out very clearly, here's why I'm here. This is why this is happening. This is unfair treatment of fathers. And today is the fucking day they're going to pay for it.
Wow.
And he shot his ex-girlfriend, shot his ex-wife, shot himself.
Ooh. Yeah.
What do you do when the law is used against you and your children are used against you?
Well, hopefully we can get a message, out to the men before that's the situation, and they can build their own businesses and employ the worthy men and support the worthy causes and get themselves a garage full of, various sex dolls.
I would rather see that. I'd rather see a 19-year-old come out and say, you know what, man, I want no fucking part of this shit. I'm out. Before I get in, I've seen what's been done to you and my father and my uncle and my cousins, my friends.
Yeah, my friends. Exactly.
I want no fucking part of it, and to just say, I'm out before it ever starts. Because, I mean, we all have that urge in us to be you know, to have a sexual partner, and that's
Of
the
course.
nature that's been used against us, and we all generally want to pass on our seed, right? We all want to be
We're,
fathers.
we're a sexually dimorphic species, okay? We're built for this. You know what I mean? It's built into
Yeah.
the biology. There's no way that you as a salmon are deciding to not swim upstream. There's no way that you're not going to grow your antlers and start competing with the other males for access to the attractive females. It's part of our nature. And the government and the system and the women and the greed has, recognizes this, knows this up front. The individual, the young man coming up, he doesn't know this. The man going through this, he's, in the wave right now. He's not
Mm-hmm.
looking at the wave from outside of it. So, he doesn't know this, but the system knows this, and the woman knows this. Not that, so what do we do? How do we reach, like I hear your story, I hear the news stories that you're talking about. I know my situation. I know, other guys' situations, but it's millions of men. It's going to be the entire future of, human society is what we're actually talking about.
And
I know that's going grandiose and, going big scale.
No, it's not.
With it.
That's not going too far with it at all. If anything, that's a more realistic prediction of the outcome. If we continue on right now, the way we are going, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Completely fucked. Not just like, oh, we're going to have a bit of a population problem. We're done.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, no Western civilization has anywhere near a replacement population, growth rate. And of course, this is part of the reason why you're bringing in your immigrants, right? Because, they still reproduce. And they've got a mindset of, man is a man and a woman is a woman. But, of course, then they come here and within, 1 or 2 generations, that's going to be gone too.
Absolutely.
So this is like a last gasp. This is like a last breath. This is clutching at straws is what's going on here now. And, the solution is, of course, for, this new appreciation, this new awakening. I did a video of Man 2.0, this new man coming into existence. And that, that's what we're building. And, it's a big deal. Like, I don't know that I can do that. I don't know that this generation can do that. But maybe we can plant the seeds, maybe we can till the soil and get it ready, so that we don't perish, as a species in our own greed, in our own desire to fulfill, our instinctual drives. It's a big deal.
With this uprising now and the boiling point coming to an end right now in society in the Western world, like I can only speak for Canada and the US because they're the only ones I've visited, right?
Sure. The other places are worse.
Yeah,
the European places are worse.
I mean, Holland, like I said, Holland is just like Spain, where, if you made fun of her or laughed at her or criticized her for how she did a crossword, you're going to fucking jail and she gets your house.
Yeah.
That sounds worse than here. I can still go out and tell my woman who's a neighbor or my neighbor who's a woman to go fuck herself, and I might get like a probation, but she's not going to get my house.
I wouldn't do that.
No, I'm not going to do that. I have awesome neighbors for the most part. But but yeah, like this is tame compared to some places where they went full on feminazi, full on.
Yeah.
And their society is on the brink of crumbling. It was bad before because they aren't one of the superpowers of the world. So it was already kind of a bad stage. Now it's fucked. Super fucked. Yeah. So all we have to do is look
so
to
we've
them.
Got to highlight.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have to highlight,
we have to highlight
the end game before it comes here. You know what
I mean? Exactly. And we have to pick out these individual instances and, explain the particulars so that the men, the people, okay? Because, this is another thing. At some point, do the women need to join in? Do the women need to also go MGTOW? And the answer to that is yes, to be honest with you. They need to,
Your one video that you stated that in, this is why I wanted to bring you on. Like a lot of your videos, you understand that we can't all go monk and expect the world to correct itself. As a
Yeah.
species, we are men and women, and we need to each other to come together. But if we
If you want to
can't,
build the future,
yeah, if you want a future, that's what you got to do. Right
Yeah.
now, it's far too dangerous for men to even consider it anymore.
Agreed.
We have to make our Western world essentially a marriage material wasteland. It's a desert of men. There are
Well,
no men for them, and then they'll start to wake up. Maybe.
This has happened in the other civilizations too. This is a process. This happens in corporations and in large systems. But maybe with our technology, maybe with our tools, maybe with our mass communication, maybe with our philosophy, because that is what MGTOW is. And, I knew that when I made videos, is MGTOW a movement or philosophy? Started asking that question. I knew that a lot of guys would get upset. I knew that. Maybe we can, okay, fine. Here's the sex dolls. Here's the sex androids. Here's the artificial womb. If you want to play it this way, we will go our own way. We will build a future where, guess what? We don't need the female cooperation. We don't need the blue pill simping politician.
We don't.
We don't need this betrayal of man. And we do need the brotherhood. We do need our friends. We do need our tribe.
Yes. And that's another topic. I mean, our tribe mentality has been all but fucking obliterated.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
all for the same shit that women like to pull. We go back to Susan having a nicer butt.
Exactly.
We've essentially installed that into men as well. And now they look at their neighbors like, well, he got something I want and don't have.
Yep.
So I have to hate him.
I wanted to mention this earlier, and I really can't hang around much longer. There was a Kraft macaroni and cheese commercial on while I was in jail, and there's a little boy sitting at the breakfast table with his sister, and he throws some food, like she disagrees with him or calls him stupid, and he throws some food at her or something like that, and the mother looks at him and is like, Johnny, how dare you be so aggressive? That's wrong, right? And the little girl was just shaming the shit out of him anyway. And then they come on and then they say, Kraft macaroni and cheese, now made with ingredients that produce less testosterone in boys, because we all want to be happy.
Are you fucking
so it's
serious?
Like totally serious. This was an actual commercial. You know what I mean? And they actually boasted about the fact that, if you eat this food, you'll have less testosterone in your kids.
Yeah. Well, the level of testosterone in men have dropped.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
Whether it's natural or not, it's going the wrong way.
Yeah. And why do you think the women on TikTok have these big giant butts and two giant basketballs, and they, do their duck lips into the camera, and they've got all their makeup on and they look fucking glamorous, and all the men are, looking at that with their tongues hanging out. I was over there at that earlier podcast. And why do you think the men are walking around like they've got a broken back? Does the expression tail tucked between your legs mean anything?
I don't know. I like getting to these simp men. How the fuck do we get them away from that?
Well, it's not even these simp men. It's all men, and it's so all the men are like becoming this broken down old man, with his tail tucked between his legs, and all these women are becoming these giant big butt, Black Widow spider creatures, and that's the way society's doing it. And the testosterone levels of the men are going down, and the estrogen levels and even the testosterone levels of the women are going way up.
I would definitely say that the comparison between a Black Widow or a praying mantis, that's a good way to describe Western women now.
Oh yeah, I've got a whole series of videos on this subject. You were talking about checking out some of my videos.
I checked them all out.
No. Well,
all the ones that you have loaded up right now on YouTube, I watched them all.
Yeah, exactly. But I have over 1,000 of them that were taken down off of YouTube, and now they exist over on the MGTOW Mirror Project and the MGTOW Archives Project, and I'm downloading them and re-uploading them.
Do it, man. I'll fucking watch them. Like I said, you sound very familiar, and I want to say I've heard you before, but you sound a lot like a comic book narrator kind of guy that I used to follow, who used to go into the deep analysis of comic books and superheroes. So you sound a lot like him. So I'm not sure if I'm just confusing the two. But at the same time, if you want to drop your channel, or if we can get one of the wrenches, if they're still here, to drop your channel and your PayPal link, that'd be great before you take off.
Absolutely. You know, because I mean that's you know what I was talking about. It's good to have friends. You know, we as men, you know, if we can, let's support each other, because it's made a huge difference to me. It's, you know, re-inspired me, re-motivated me. You know, I was walking around with my tail between my legs, you know, thinking nobody wants the new Howard Dare content, you know, and now it's like, no, I'm going to take all that old content and I'm going to re-upload it and I'm going to put new stuff in there too.
Absolutely.
Because of the support of MGTOW and the support of men like you, Chris. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to, you know, do my part for the same ether and the same groups that, you know, saved me from self-deletion.
Exactly. And me as well. You know what I mean? We want to have an impact on the world. We want to be able to make a positive difference in the world around us. And again, with the isolation of men, with the breaking of brotherhood of men, this is another thing that's being taken away from us. And it's our masculine heritage. It is our birthright. And, you know, it is our destiny. And, you know, we traded it for the, you know, PlayStation 4. We've traded it. Now, you know, it's like the woman has become intolerable. So, yeah, get yourself a, you know, nice little harem of sex dolls.
Well, I mean,
get yourself a redhead, get yourself a blonde, get yourself a brunette.
They've traded a life of happiness and long term for instant gratification and head meds and saying that they're still sad, you know, in this perfect world that we built for them.
Yeah, exactly. And we did build this perfect world for them. And like spoiled children, you know, now they're just pitching fits. And same with the politicians. I am going to have to, you know, call it quits though. Because,
Howard, can you just chat into the text box so I can make you a moderator and then you can drop your own link? I don't know if any of the guys have it. I don't know if Riggs is sub to your channel or anything.
To be honest with you, I can't, because if I close the app on one aspect, it'll shut down. And yeah, I'm outdoors with handheld Android, you know, devices, little phones, little Pharma phones. That's how, you know, serious the commitment is.
Okay.
So yeah,
no
I mean,
problem.
we'll get there.
What I'll do is I'll at the end of the stream I'll add it to the channel's details, or the stream's detail.
That would be great. That way I get to be motivated. I get up to 1,000 subscribers to buy myself to 5.
Well, hey man, I just got over 50, so I'm calling myself lucky there. Oh, there we go. Looks like Riggs got you covered there, buddy. Thank you, Riggs. Thank you for coming, Howard.
Now, are you? Sorry. Let me ask you this, Chris. Are you streaming from a mobile device right now?
I actually have it on my broken laptop right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I do usually stream from one of my phones. Yeah. I understand them better, and I don't break them.
Right. Well, these must be the new eligibility rules that YouTube has put in place. Yeah, they want you to have 1,000 subscribers before you can stream mobile.
Well, once you get your StreamYard set up, you just go straight to streaming. You don't have to get the 1,000 count sub or the so many hours. I've also looked into that and started to play around with that a little bit. But then when I go to do that, it also just kicks in and says, no, you're not eligible, even though well over 50 subscribers. It should have enabled me to be able to go live. I'm actually going to have to put up one of my older live streams just so that people can get a taste and a flavor of, you know, what I do on a live stream. Because, well, you know, actually, it's this conversation. It's a conversation like this. Do it, buddy. I'll watch it, whatever you're dropping here.
Thank you, bro. Okay, I'm going to call it quits. I appreciate you having me on. It's great talking with you, Chris. I want your channel to build up, you know. I want you to be able to get this message out too. I think we can support each other, and I think we should support all the other MGTOW. Not everybody's the same. Not everybody agrees, you know, but they're, you know, you pick and you choose, you know, the parts that suit you, that, you know, will come in, that'll save your life. You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Right, have a good one. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, man. You take care. We'll talk to you later. Thank you, MGTOW.
Awesome, all right, Onefastdak, you want to pop on and say hello for a while, or are you all done for the day, buddy? I appreciate Howard coming on. That was absolutely awesome. I didn't expect him to actually join in, but if one of you guys want to jump on, the StreamYard is still linked there. and or I can just shut this down. Going on almost 2 hours, but I could talk myself blind if you let me. And I'm not doing much for standalones. Okay, Onefastdak will be coming in. Perfect. I'm just going to take a quick little break here then, and I'll be right back. All right, I am back. Mr. Onefastdak, how are you, sir?
Hey, brother, what's up?
Oh, not much. Had a great chat there with our buddy. I am back.
Oh, sorry, let me turn this off. Yeah, that was awesome. So he was just in the chat and he came in, or?
Yeah, he popped right on. Look, I was only on for a couple of minutes, but I was having some technical issues with trying to get this broken computer to work.
Yeah, right
and
on.
If I touch anything or move it, it may not.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just trying to be very careful.
Cool. So you got it working. That's good.
Sort of.
Yeah, sort of. Right
sort
on.
Of. But yeah,
right.
No, I got this goddamn thing that won't go away.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, no, that was a good chat, man. It was awesome to have him on. I'm glad he popped in.
That's great. Yeah, I was just at my neighbor's house. They're both in their 80s. Yeah, married for like 60 years or so. Good people, though. So I went over there and told them, because they're mainstream babies, right?
Yeah.
So I went over there and told them, the truth of what's really going on with this trucker thing. So
Were they a bit surprised?
Yeah, they were pretty, they agreed. They agreed. So just sad how the mainstream just brainwashes them.
On that note, I just got an update that our brothers in Australia just had a incident.
Uh-oh.
An undercover cop went in and instigated some shit, and they fell for it.
Oh, shit.
So most likely a lot of people from that protest are going to jail tonight.
Wow.
So, yeah, guys, if you are a part of any of these groups, for the love of God, do not fall for the fucking instigators.
Yeah. Well, I heard the cops up here were blocking medicine and food to our truckers.
Oh, quite possibly.
Well, no, after they agreed, because they had that meeting with the lawyer and the cops and the truckers, and the police, said this is what we want. So the trucker said, yes, we're going to allow some trucks that are loaded with food and medications to go through, and every passenger vehicle to get through.
Right.
Then the trucker said, yeah, we will agree to that, but you have to let us get our medications and food and water and fuel to us. So that broke down this afternoon. The cops, our CMP was blocking them, from driving 2 miles in there. So what they had to do is they had to haul everything in by hand, and it's like, well, it's like minus 20 degrees Celsius here right now, minus 25 there.
Yep.
Haul it in by hand for 2 miles on their backs to get it to the truckers.
As long as they're fucking doing it, man. Do not
story.
back down from this fucking tyranny at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I stated, we're seeing more politicians now trying to turn fucking coat and, protect their fucking heads from being on the chopping block with Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
And that shit ain't going to work either. Don't ever let them forget this shit.
No doubt.
Never.
Hey, Rebel Against Defeat, how you going, brother? Yeah, so unbelievable.
Oh,
So yeah, Reverend 20 Piece just dropped a video on this. It's pretty cool.
Oh, what did he?
What's happening in Canada here. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Just to let you know, Island Hermit just dropped 2 good ones.
Sorry,
yeah.
Guys. Oh, fucking hammer hands on now for a test of some kind.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Probably a test, yeah.
Well, I thought I sent Rev anyway an email along with Howard there that I was going to be on tonight. If they want to pop on after, the live stream or Terrence's live stream.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to miss Pops to start my own shit.
Yeah, no doubt.
Plus, nobody would show up because they'd be all over watching Pops.
Exactly. Yeah, that's odd for Hammer to be on this late. I think he just says it's a test.
Oh, well. Could always pop on there and have a quick look. See, hasn't started yet.
No, probably just a test.
No, that was great. Like I basically went through and powered through everything Howard had up on YouTube right now, and yeah, he should totally download all of his old stuff and re-upload it just to see if he can get it past him.
Yeah,
because I mean, even what he had there was like, yeah, man, it's fucking on the level, with logic and common sense and reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Slaying pussy's all right once in a while, but
Oh, I know.
We can only hear so much of that.
Yeah, you can say that again. Yeah. So anyway,
no, it was that's an unfortunate update.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Like I said, as long as they do it and they don't stop fucking fighting back, because we're getting them to turn over and show their pink bellies.
Yeah, exactly.
And the world can't move on without them. So, but anyway, brother, do you want to stay on for a while, or do you want to pop over the Hammers as well, or?
I don't know. Hammer's just doing testing. He just keeps going back and forth with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, well, it might be nothing. Oh, there he is. The man.
Yeah, I'm going to head for bed soon anyway. It's late. So just want to stop in and say hey.
Oh, thanks for coming by, buddy.
And we'll talk to you tomorrow, I guess.
Alrighty. Sounds good, brother.
Have a good night.
You too. Well, if nobody else wants to pop in and say hello, I'll probably call it a night as well. Maybe go see what's going on over at Hammerhand's channel, and we will talk to you guys later. Peace.